Hi, I'm Anne Scottlin, and welcome to my new series, Your Joyful Life. It's my passion to help you rediscover joy in your life, your work, your world. Rediscover joy. You work hard and you deserve to have a joyful life and live the best version of yourself. So I am here to help you do that, and I welcome you to my show, Your Joyful Life. You have asked for it and you got it. You guys have been great sending in questions, requests, comments, and on my Instagram poll, I asked you to vote on whether you wanted a new episode on burnout or willpower, and burnout won. So I guess that tells us a little bit about what's going on for you all right now. So today on Your Joyful Life, I am talking about something that many of us have experienced lately, including me, burnout. Yeah. Burnout, including me. Burnout is brutal. If you've ever been there, you know what I mean. And if you haven't been there, you probably know someone who has, and you can take some notes for them. So I'm going to share with you how you can recover from burnout by finding your joy. That sounds like good news to me. How can you recover from burnout by finding your joy? That just sounds like a great outcome. I want that. And I can give you some great steps on how to do that. But first, I'd like to shout out, as I said, you guys have been sending me messages, and I have a message right here from Tina. Tina in Hawaii. Hi, Tina. Tina wrote, sent me a message after my episode on 3 ways to diffuse anxiety. Tina says, "Thank you very much, Anne. Your words of wisdom have helped me so much with my anxiety. I save your words of wisdom and I write them down in a book, and before going to sleep, I read them." Oh, thank you, Tina. That is just the kindest thing to say. I'm so happy that some of what I'm sharing has really helped you, and I hope it continues to help you. And I hope you continue to climb out of anxiety, use some of the tools I have given you and other good stuff that you can find. And I'm on your team, and I'm wishing you the best. And thank you so much for sending me your kind and generous message. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Tina from Hawaii. So right now, I'm going to talk about recovering from burnout by finding your joy. I could use some joy. It's joyful just being with you right now. I'm so excited you guys are here. Thank you. So burnout is exhaustion brought on by prolonged or repeated stress. Burnout is stress, prolonged or repeated stress. In fact, the American Psychological Association defines burnout as physical, emotional, or mental exhaustion accompanied by decreased motivation, lowered performance, and negative attitudes towards oneself and others. Now, there's different kinds of burnout, and I want to acknowledge that before we go any further. There are so many different kinds of burnout, and you may have experienced, a lot of people just think of it as work burnout. It can be employment, profession, work burnout, but it can be other things too. There's other versions of burnout, and I think it's worth considering because often they aren't really articulated. So one kind of burnout is what I call moving towards burnout. So what's an example of moving towards burnout? So you are moving towards something that you want, and yet you still reach burnout. So a great example is many entrepreneurs, right? They work 18, 20-hour days, day in, day out, 7 days a week, and they're so excited about their new product. They're so excited about their new business, and they are like absolutely willing to invest everything they have to make it happen. And yet, while they're moving towards this thing they're so excited about, something strange can kind of take over. A darkness, a frustration, exasperation, discouragement, even though nothing in the environment has particularly changed. And that is often burnout. You just can't sustain even good activity for so long and at the expense of your joy and at the expense of your health. Another kind of burnout is moving away burnout, right? So let's say long hours again, but let's say because you don't want to lose your job. You're worried, you're scared you're going to lose your job. Your job is very competitive. Maybe you're in sales. Maybe you just have way more work than you can do. Maybe you're really good at your job, but you're slower than other people, so it takes you more hours. Or maybe it's just the overall stress of your job. Maybe you have a really high anxiety job, or you work in emergency care, or you're in any other kinds of jobs where it's really, really taxing and you work harder because you don't want to lose your job. So that's what I call moving away burnout. There's another kind of burnout that often doesn't get mentioned because we always think about burnout with jobs, and that is burnout from caring for a loved one with health issues, or caring from any loved one that has a special need or special needs. Whether you're taking care of a sick infant with a chronic problem, or whether you're caring for an elderly parent, or whether you have a child with special needs, or whether you're caring for any member of your family or extended family in your home. This constant 24-hour care that you want to give can really burn you out. It can really just be constant, exhausting. You're just not finding any joy anymore. You're just working to try to do what feels like the right thing. And it may be the right thing, but you can still burn out, right? We're only human after all. Similarly, another kind of burnout, I can think of many more. Let's say being a single parent. Wow, that is hard. Being a single parent. I have several friends that are single parents. It is hard, especially with young children. Again, 24-hour-a-day work, plus maybe you're working a day job, plus maybe you have 2 sick kids, plus maybe you're having to homeschool for the first time because the classroom situation in your city is changing for a million reasons. Being a single parent is hard, and it can absolutely lead to burnout. You feel like you have absolutely no time to yourself, you can't get enough sleep, and you are burned out. What's another group of people that often hit burnout? Ooh, I can tell you from experience. University students, college students, yes, right? Those assertive students, 2 kinds. One who either procrastinate and then have to cram for days and weeks to get that good grade in the end, or really high achievers who study diligently and really hard, especially really difficult subjects, day in, day out, 18-hour days, no sleep, lots of caffeine, very little fun, very little exercise or social stimulation. University students are classic for having burnout. And there's one more I want to mention because it might be relevant to someone you know. We can even have burnout from the news media. Know anybody who might have been experiencing burnout from the news media recently? You can have burnout. I would say there's a slightly lesser degree of burnout, but if you're a highly invested person in the news and what's happening around you, and if you really get into it when all the conflicts and the drama and the constant bombardment of information, and half the time you don't know what's true and what's not true, it can create a certain kind of emotional burnout. And there's so many other kinds of burnout that we could talk about, but I just wanted to limit it to a few examples today just to see if you are familiar with any of those, if you relate to any of those, or if you know someone who might be experiencing this now or has experienced it in the past, and maybe learning a little bit more about burnout can help you help them. So it's not just about being physically tired. Being physically tired can be a huge part of it, obviously. If you're not getting the rest that you need, you're going to be tired. But a big part of burnout is also, and often especially, the mental exhaustion, being mentally exhausted, burnt out emotions, burnt out emotional energy, burnt out mental energy. And when you're experiencing burnout, there's so many strange things that you can have going on in you, in your emotions, that may be signs that something's going on. You could have sadness. You could have a lot of anger, rage. You could feel completely numb. That's often what happens to me when I go through a bout of burnout, is usually somewhere between anger and numb. And then I'm angry that I'm numb. And then I get numb because I don't want to feel angry. And then I just get angry and then I get numb. And it's a vicious cycle. That's my personal burnout. You have probably a very different symptoms of burnout, but they probably include feeling stressed, feeling anxious, even feeling depressed. And you may feel a lot of symptoms in your body. We've talked about this before. Feeling your emotions in different parts of your body and creating awareness on where you're feeling the anxiety, the stress that's not causing you the burnout, but that's a symptom of the burnout. So maybe you have a rock in the pit of your stomach that just doesn't seem to let up or go away, or you feel tight, or you feel stuck in any other areas of your body. It could be your throat, it could be your chest, your lungs, your heart, your abdomen. Lots of symptoms of stress. Remember what the Psychological Society said, prolonged stress that causes burnout. Prolonged and repetitive stress that causes burnout. Okay, we're burned out. So what can we do about it? What can you do about burnout? It feels like when you're in it, you're so stuck. Well, first of all, as you know, I often say this, give yourself some permission first. Give yourself some permission to feel, even if that makes you emotional. And if you can't feel because you're numb from burnout, that's okay too. It's okay to feel weak. It's okay to feel frustrated, but let yourself feel. It's your body and your mind trying to send you vital information. Help! So listen. Don't just lock down and tune it out. You will have some major symptoms that's going to take you a long time to get out of. I had some really chronic stress in my early 20s that I ended up with bleeding stomach ulcers. Bleeding stomach ulcers are not something you want, especially in your early 20s, because I wasn't processing stress. I was experiencing burnout. I never let myself actually feel what was really going on in my emotions, in my mind, in my body. And I was having some chronic burnout, and I should have been seeking professional help, but I didn't. So take a note on that as well, because you can hold out for a while, but eventually something's going to give, and it's either going to be your mind or it's going to be your body, or it could be both. So be careful. Be careful about burnout. Your mind and body is such a precious and incredible instrument. Take good care of it. What else can you do? Give yourself some praise for the work you're doing, even though it seems a lot, and give yourself some praise for the rest. Sometimes we're just in this rut of churning out the work like some kind of, cart oxen. Those old pictures of cart oxen pulling the cart, and still do in many parts of the world. Give yourself some praise for a job well done, the work you're doing, but then also give yourself some praise when you rest. Don't beat yourself up emotionally when you rest. When we're in a really hard work situation and we have a hard time resting, we tend to beat ourselves up. I should be working harder, I should be working more. No, give yourself some praise for the work you're doing, a good job, and also give yourself some praise for rest, and try to take some rest. So, what are a few things you can do? Number 1, take a break. It's easier said than done when you have a lot on your plate. It doesn't have to be a long break. It could be a short break. It depends on how you use that break. Are you using it just to numb out and just watch tons and tons of hours of streaming television shows? That can be fine, but that might not be the only way to use your break. There's other ways we'll talk about. How can you more proactively use that break to fully relax, not just numb out more, especially if your version of breakdown makes you numb out. The last thing you really need is to numb out more. Because why? Because it means you're not dealing with the problem. So take a break. If you simply can't take a break because you have triplets or something, I'm sorry, bless you, simplify and prioritize. If you can't take a real break, then simplify and prioritize. What would you do if you had to choose? If you are really stressed out on time, then don't plan a dinner party. Don't overcommit. Don't let relatives and friends pressure you to do things that you don't have time for. Focus on your health. Focus on what's absolutely essential. Minimize down to the very bare minimum, and do that well, and try to give yourself, by prioritizing, try to create some abilities to rest and to take a break. Even prioritizing taking a break and rest. What else can you do? Evaluate your bandwidth. What can you handle and what can't you? Have you ever been really stressed out or had a lot going on, and then someone asked you to do just one more thing and you just kind of lost it, or you just kind of snapped, or you just felt suddenly so overwhelmed and tired, or you just couldn't do one more thing? So evaluate your bandwidth. What can you handle and what can't you? Don't take on everything. Maybe that means you have to tell your boss, listen, I know this is a mega priority. This project A is a mega priority, and you've given me a deadline for 2 weeks, and it would take 3 people to do this job. There's just me. But then there's these other smaller deadlines that are cropping up. I literally cannot do them. So I can do one thing well. They're going to have to wait. What can you do to help me get those extended? Maybe you have to talk to a boss. Maybe you have to decide in your family, what's your bandwidth? Do you need help? If you're a parent with young children, maybe you need some help. Maybe you need a friend or a relative or some childcare. Maybe you need some help. Don't feel like a failure. Be smart and evaluate your bandwidth and realize what you can handle and what you can't. What has to give? Something's going to have to give. And we just don't want that to be your health or your mental wellness. So decide what has to give and what you can handle and what you can't. And then manage your mental and physical energy more scientifically. Because a lot of times we just throw all of our energy, emotional, physical, and mental, into our work or into whatever is right in front of us, into that responsibility. And we're not really managing our energy. We're hemorrhaging our energy. It's just coming out, and we're slowly sort of dying because we just keep putting it out there and putting it out there and putting it out there to the point of absolute exhaustion. And you can't keep doing that. You have to refill. So also be more scientific about it. Maybe keep a journal or a note. That could be 2 words, guys. It doesn't have to be a whole bunch of sentences. What's working for you and what doesn't? When is your physical energy the highest? Do your biggest physical tasks then. When is your mental energy the highest? Try to use that time for your more mental energy. Keep track of what works. Do you need a nap in the afternoon? Do you feel guilty because you're going to take a nap? If you make some notes and find out that when you nap, you then have higher energy and are more productive after the nap, then take the nap. Stop just trying to be a super person and treat your own symptoms of burnout more scientifically. Manage your mental and physical energy. And you can either get professional help with that, or you can also start just keeping track of your own symptoms and what works and what doesn't work, and figure out what you need, figure out what works for you specifically. And as always, self-care. Even if you don't have more time, you could improve your diet a little bit. Simplify, or ask someone to bring you in food, or just eat simpler foods and eat more fruits and vegetables and just pack them with you or have them delivered to your house. Get some more exercise. Do you not have time for exercise? Then find ways. Maybe you can take calls while you're walking. Maybe you can take calls while you're on the exercise bike. I've actually used my laptop on the exercise bike, which is a little tricky because you don't want to drop it, but it can be done. I'm not advocating always multitasking here. I'm just saying, don't let your health fail you when you need it so desperately to support your mental investment. You have to take some time for self-care, for improved diet, for a little bit of improved exercise, and more sleep. Okay, maybe you can't get 8 hours, but how much are you getting? Are you getting 5? 4? I know someone who consistently gets 4, and they're not really healthy. And they love to work, but it's going to take a toll on them. So even if you're getting 5 hours, how about you up it to 6 or 6.5? Every little bit helps. Take some self-care. And for those of you who are already self-care champions, you know some of those other things to do, whatever that is that helps you relax, have a drink, a beverage of your choice, to rest, some people take a hot bath, some people like to just sit in their favorite chair. What are those things that make you feel cared for, even when it's you caring for you? Excuse me. So many things can cause burnout, right? Including clinical depression and anxiety. And as I said, if you're experiencing extreme or prolonged burnout, then see a therapist or a counselor who can take stock of your whole mental wellness and can give you some help. And sometimes, though, we feel burned out and just generally depleted and unhappy, even though nothing is severely wrong in our lives. Sometimes that's the most frustrating because you feel like you should be fine, but you're burned out. Burnout often means that you have stopped focusing on the things that bring you joy. Remember that. Burnout often means that you have stopped focusing on the things that bring you joy. Instead, your choices or activity or work actually feel like they're sucking the joy right out of you. Sucking the joy out, not replenishing your joy, not letting you even experience your normal amounts of joy. And sometimes we even feel guilty for burnout because nothing really appears to be wrong. And maybe we're even doing a job or working in an industry that we love. We love what we're doing and we're burned out and we still feel guilty because, I don't know, Joe over there, he doesn't seem burned out and we basically have the same job. How come I feel burned out and he doesn't? Well, we don't know what's going on in his life. But we're still experiencing burnout, so we have to confront that. So we wonder what is wrong with us. Nothing is wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you. It's just you've often pushed so hard to accomplish what's right in front of you that you've pushed joy right out of your life. You've pushed so hard to accomplish what's right in front of you that you've pushed joy right out of your life. And that can seriously contribute to your burnout. So you want to know more about finding your joy as a way to help diffuse burnout? Find your joy to help diffuse burnout? I go into this more in detail in my workshops. And in my advanced workshop, I walk my clients through a specific technique for diffusing stress and relieving burnout. And I really wish I could do it with you right now, but the full experience takes 20-30 minutes, and I have the participants slide down and basically guide them through a process. But just because we can't do that right now, I don't want you to miss out on the opportunity to do this later, or if you're feeling burnout, or if you're feeling stressed. So I'm going to give you some notes on how you can do it yourself. So grab a pen and paper or grab your digital notepad. And if you miss it, you can always come back and listen to this again. You can always watch this episode again, because I'm going to share with you one technique for diffusing stress and relieving burnout. Now, not everything works for everyone. I'm not claiming that it's going to work the first time, or it will maybe never work for you. But I'm sharing with a lot of my clients have found very useful. So I'm going to share it with you, give it a shot, and see how it works for you. But I encourage you to give it a try or customize it to make it fit what works for you. So there's 3 things you need to prepare. So first, give yourself 20-30 minutes, and you want an undisturbed, quiet place. So kind of like you were going to meditate, create that kind of environment. You know, if you share a house with other people, put a sticky note on your doorknob of the bedroom that says, keep out until 4:30. Whatever. I actually went and bought some little door handle hangers to put on the outside of my office door when I'm at home to tell people. One says, do not disturb genius at work. One says, meditation, it's in session, do not disturb. There's some fun ones, actually, you can go buy on Amazon or anywhere. Or you can just make your own on a sticky note and stick it on your door. So that's the first thing you do, is create some space where you're not going to be disturbed by pets, by kids, if at all possible. And then the second thing you're going to need is to find some music or nature sounds or something that you personally relate to, something without lyrics that really relaxes you, something that you already know can just really relax you, because we're going to use this not as a meditation, but as a tool. And then lastly, and this is kind of the most fun and unique element, the last thing you need is an activity that makes you happy, that gives you a sense of well-being. Well, what could that be? It could just be listening to music. This is something second to the music you're going to listen to, your relaxation music. It could be any music of your choice, right? It could be listening to your favorite music. What's another activity that brings you joy? Some people it's reading something inspirational, motivational, or even just a great novel. Reading just makes you, puts you in your place of joy, your happy place, whatever you want to call it. Maybe it's creating art. Some people like to work with their hands and do something manual. That gives them so much happiness. Or some people like to do something creative, like color or draw or any number of things. Or maybe you like playing with animals, playing with your dog. Or some people love the creative outlet of just preparing a gourmet meal. I know guys and gals who love to do that, who love to cook and get so much therapy basically out of preparing a gourmet meal. Or go jogging. Maybe your version of your happy place is just to get it out physically. That's great. Or go dance in your living room. Whatever it is, pick one activity that you love that gives you joy and get that ready, because we're going to use it at the very end of this technique. Okay? So I'm going to tell you what we're going to do next. So those are the 3 things. Take some time, find some relaxing music, and have an activity that brings you joy. Now we're going to go into the actual activity itself, the actual technique. So you're going to turn on your music. I suggest earpods or something so you get a nice personal quality, good quality music, or earphones. Okay, and I want you to lay down flat on a bed or a yoga mat and a pillow or some really comfortable place that you can lay down. And I want you to take a couple deep breaths, and then you're going to do a body scan. And again, I can't walk you through this right now because it would take me too long. I wish I could. But as you're laying down, listening to this relaxing music, taking a few deep breaths, do a body scan. Some of you know what I'm talking about because you've learned similar techniques before, but probably not exactly this one. But a body scan means is to feel everything in your body. Feel where the tight places are. Feel where the emotional knots are. Is that in the pit of your stomach? Is that in your throat? Is it in your chest? Is it like you just can't take a deep breath? Does your back hurt? Do your feet hurt? Do you have little aches and pains that are driving you crazy? They're just like all the points of discomfort in your entire body. Go from the tip of your head all the way down to your toes and find them. They can all be bad. They can all be negative. It's fine. Find the things that are just feeling. And if you run across something that feels great, acknowledge it. That's amazing. And just keep scanning. So you want to just scan until you feel everything fully. So when you're feeling everything fully, it's kind of a lot. Some people it's not more discomfort, but you almost experience kind of a throbbing sensation, like you're really in tune with your body. Some people can almost feel their heartbeat at this point. And then you get a mental exercise. May work for you, may not, but a lot of people like it. So now imagine as you're laying flat, listening to your really relaxing music, that your entire body has a second layer on the top. Like a mask, like a Halloween mask or a party mask is a second layer. It's you, but it's a whole second layer, like a second skin, almost like a snake skin, like a snake shedding its skin. And all of that negative stuff that you feel, all the discomforts, the pain, the knots, the stress, all throughout your body, those are all on the surface, like in that skin. And I want you to just imagine a magic wand and this whole mask of your body, this whole party mask, this whole Halloween mask, this whole snake skin is lifting up from you. Just imagine it lifting up above you. Doesn't mean you can't have it back. It just means you want to lift it up from you. A lot of people see it because they're laying down maybe as lifting up and kind of like almost like an out-of-body experience. It's up here and you're down here. Some people feel like they have to lay it to the side. Whatever visual works for you. Just try to create some separation. All those sensations to lift up or set aside and find what's underneath. Find the calmness when all that's gone. Just temporarily lifted. And see what quietness you can find in yourself when you relieve yourself of all of that just for a short time. Just be in your calmness. Just be in that for a while. Just feel it, the quietness. Feel what it likes to be okay, feels like to be okay. A lot of times this equilibrium, this calmness, this I'm okay, that's the beginning of finding your joy, your okay space. So you've got music, body scan, imagine the mask or snakeskin of all your discomforts lifting. Experience the calm underneath. Just rest in that for a while and listen to your relaxing music for as long as you possibly can. And then the last point, when you really feel like you've found your calm, quiet place, then take a few breaths, and when you're ready, you sit up and then begin your joy activity. Begin your joy activity. Leave your music on if you like. Grab that book that you've been dying to read, that inspirational book, motivational book, or that great novel. Get comfortable and just read and have a good time, or put on your running shoes and go for a run immediately, or maybe start doing something artistic that you like doing with your hands immediately, or maybe open your door and let all the pets in and play with them, or whatever. Or maybe you get up and you go out in the living room and you turn on your dance music and just go crazy, finding that one activity that really gives you joy. Do it. So what you've done is you've taken some time for yourself. You've put on some calming music. You've scanned your body for every difficult, uncomfortable emotion, not sensation, physical discomforts. You've given yourself permission to lift it off temporarily and to really feel the calm, okay you underneath, and just spend some time there listening to your relaxing music. And when you're ready, you sit up and you do that activity that brings you joy. And do this once a day or several times a week until you start feeling connected to your joy again. Do it once a day, do it several times a week, until you start really feeling like even throughout the day you connect to your joy again, or you think of that activity you're going to do. It could be different activities. You think about it and you start getting excited. So it's basically changing your focus from stressed out, maxed out, super tense, super tight, super knotted, super anxious, to, oh, I cannot wait to do that time where I get to relax, let go, lift all those sensations off, and then have some time in my joy. It doesn't have to be a lot of time, but I think it's really going to make a difference in your overall productivity. Sometimes just hammering away at the same task, you're no longer efficient. You take some time and peace and quiet and do something good for yourself, some self-care. It's really going to help you maximize your work when you're doing it again. Some of my clients use this on an ongoing basis, not just as a burnout technique, but as a great therapy for everyday stress. They use it as their form of meditation. It's very simple, and it leaves you in a sense of well-being and joy. It gives you a break. And a lot of clients find that reconnecting to their joy literally energizes them. So I encourage you to give it a try and tell me how it goes for you. Please keep sending in your comments. Give this a shot. If you need to hear the steps again, I've tried to summarize them a couple times. You go back, listen to it again, and shoot me a message here or on my Twitter page or anywhere. Shoot me a message and tell me how this exercise is going for you. And please don't forget to like and subscribe so I can keep this content coming to you. I really appreciate your support. It makes a huge difference for me here, and it gives me the ability to continue bringing you these great episodes, which you tell me you're loving, so I'm going to keep doing it. And just thank you so much for joining me here on my show, Your Joyful Life. I hope you try these suggestions. I cannot wait to hear from you. Most of you already know, but if you haven't, check out my new website, www.annescottlin.com. That's my brand new website. Check it out, annescottlin.com. And you know where to find me on Twitter and Instagram, which is @AnneScottlin. And as always, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for letting me be part of your journey. My wish for you today is that you live in your joy. See you soon.